can you have a victory over yourself? You cannot fight with yourself. You are part of it. It is like fighting against yourself. So this idea of a victory over nature is foreign to the Eastern thought. So if you look to this ecology and environmentalism and all these Western approaches to preserve nature and all that, that has been part of Eastern tradition for thousands of years. We have always worshipped, nature. We always, pray to all the elements of nature. We want to live in harmony with, because that's what my would say. How can you fight with yourself? You are one. There is no separation. This separation is your creation. There is no separation. There is no Dvait. You are all one. And if you are all one, then how can you fight with yourself? So that idea of non-violence, carried to that extreme, that it's not something that you should not kill somebody else or anything. It's just stupidity to fight with yourself. You can't fight with yourself. So this oneness, the total oneness with nature and everything else, is the way of looking at reality from the Eastern viewpoint. The last issue that I would like to talk, today is, remember that I, talked about this catharsis and as a preparatory ground for, meditation. So some meditation techniques which are newly discovered in this century particularly, which never part of this Vigyan Bhairav Tantra has 112 meditation techniques, and it is said that there is not a human being born or will be born in the future. Billions of people who are born and die, millions. There will always will be one of those 112 applicable to you, and you can realize through that meditation technique. Tantra has many meditative techniques, and Mahavir is his way, Buddha had his Vipassana. The only new thing that in the modern world is that this part of catharsis is added to the meditative techniques. So if you take a 1 hour of meditation in the modern technique which is called dynamic meditation. Now dynamic meditation is a contradictory term. Meditation means not doing anything. And this dynamic meditation means Sakriya Dhyan. Now Sakriya Dhyan is a contradictory term. Dhyan means not doing anything. But it's like, what is this, dynamic meditation all about? It is like, simple way to explain it would be that, if you ask a child to sit quietly here for 10 minutes, okay, the child will not be able to do that. He has so much excess energy, he cannot sit quietly. But you tell that child that, hey, run around this block 10 times. Go, run around this block 10 times. Then he would run around for 10 times and come here. And he will be so tired that he can then sit for 10 minutes quietly. That's what dynamic meditation is all about. So the new meditative techniques, which is a part involved of this catharsis, is for the 15 minutes, you shout and you dance and you do all kinds of, illogical things to get rid of this subconscious storage. And then the real meditation, begins after that cathartic portion. So only changes in this, meditative techniques in the last, 50 years is only this.
Is what?
Only this dynamic
Right.
part, which is inclusive of catharsis,
Which Osho suggests. Right.
primarily.
Right.
But even if you take Gurdjieff, he also suggests that it's not exclusively to Osho, but many people have suggested this.
Hyperventilation used to be, and it is still in one of the traditional forms of meditation. So I think that is similar.
Yeah. So
Hyperventilating.
if you take Sufis, whirling meditation, what they do, if you looked at this Jodha Akbar,
Mhm.
they do the whirling, the Aja Mere Khwaja, Dil Mein Samaja,
Darvesh.
Darvish, yeah. So, that's part of the, this dynamic meditation. Because what happens is that you whirl, and then you bring your awareness to the center, the axle, which is not moving. That's the whole idea of the whirling meditation. But other than, these fundamental catharsism as a part of the meditation, the meditation techniques which have been for us for 5,000 years, there are not major, changes in those. So the idea is that you experiment with one of these techniques, and whatever suits you, you follow that. And the only purpose of Guru, as I understand it, is that since you are not the best judge of yourself, you do not know your swadharma. So the Guru will help you to find the best technique that is suitable to you. That's the only purpose of the Guru. It's not absolutely necessary. You can find your own technique, but you will have to experiment. And you will deviate from the path a little bit here and there. And it will take a longer time for you to find that suitable technique. If you want to shorten that path, then one who has already found that path, or one who can judge you better than yourself, you have that trust, then, Guru can be helpful to you. Okay, we can break here for some time and come back.
Question answers.
Sure, absolutely. Points that I thought about Eastern and Western approach to things. One is, this emphasis on Western view on history. Everything has to be historically justified. They spend awful lot of time on when this guy was born and when he was dead, and whether, this character ever existed. It is, historical character or it is a mythological character, actually happened or not. This whole insistence on history, obsession with history, is too much in the Western view, and East has never cared for history at all. Why? Because we believe that there is no beginning, no end. Eternity is what we are looking after. So we are not very much into history. So if you look at all 108 Upanishads, there is no writer's name on it. There is no rishi who says, I wrote this, There is no insistence on history at all in India or in Eastern, philosophy, because everything is timeless. Everything is eternal. There is no beginning, there is no end. What's the value of history?
Yeah, but then it becomes mumbo jumbo.
That's why you will hardly find any enlightened being writing a autobiography. You never will find Buddha writing autobiography. Okay? Except one exception is this autobiography of a yogi. Other than that, we are not interested, because how can you write autobiography, because there has to be a beginning and end. And a person who is never born and never dies, how can you have history? So this sense of obsession with history. And that's also another very important point, because we always believe that truth is more important than facts. You take myth. Myth may be very relevant in terms of expressing the truth, although it may not be factual. This Mira's myth that I talked to you, that she entered Dwarka temple and merged with Krishna's, Murti. Now it's not factual. It's not factual that, he merged with the Murti, but it represents a very big truth of Advaita. So don't be too much obsessed with facts. We have this insistence. It really happened or no. Myths are more powerful because they contain the element of truth which is more powerful than these factual, disputes, historical record, whether it is justified or not justified. Facts are not that important as compared to the truth itself. Truth is very vast. So that's another important distinction, and the last but very important one is that it seems like Western view is very orthodox in the sense that they say this is what Muhammad said and that's it, take it or leave it. This is what Christ said. Now there are 4 versions, because what Matthews heard and what Thomas heard, and that's okay. But you can't improve upon it. You cannot have a disagreement with it. If you disagree, you are a kafir. Whereas, in Eastern view, there are interpretations and interpretations. Every Shankaracharya had written a bhashya on Gita or any major, thing. So it's always evolving. Hinduism or, texts are never static. It always evolves. With the changing times, new interpretation. I am told that there are 100 PhDs on Gita every year, at least. It's always evolving. Our way of thinking is always new, always change, modify, adjust according to times. So it's an evolving phenomenon rather than a rigid view that this is it, take it or leave it. So now, you open for questions.
Okay. Good.
I have a question. You said that God in Christianity is like an accountant, for heaven and hell theory or whatever. Similarly, I get that feeling that God is, or somebody is an accountant in Eastern religion also, when we talk about rebirth, that okay, we did good deeds and then we will get a good work, okay, we did bad deeds, we get a, so, and if a child is dying or child is suffering, it's because of what he did in the past life. So what do you have to say about that?
Okay, that's a very good question. My understanding of theory of karma is totally different than what is generally explained. What has happened is that because certain things we are not able to explain away through human mind, we have concocted all these ideas. In other words, what happens is karma theory is used to satisfy our curiosities. Why this guy who is otherwise an evil person is very successful in this life, and why this is a good person is suffering from life. So what the misinterpretation of the theory of karma is that it is because of the past life's act that you are suffering in this life. I don't believe that, I don't buy that. My theory of karma, as I understand it, is a simple cause and effect theory. Karma in effect says that whatever you do, you have to face the consequences. And to my mind, as I understand the theory of karma, is that cause and effect are simultaneous. They are yugapat. They happen at the same time. You cannot say that I will, throw my hand in the fire and then, I will burn in the next time. No. Cause and effect are simultaneous. Whatever you do, you have the consequences of it. That is the theory of karma. And theory of karma says that you are responsible for whatever is happening to you. Now what happens is that then you are not satisfied as to why, this guy who is a bad person, who does all kinds of evil acts, and he is very successful. And why is this good man suffering? The reason is very simple, because if you believe in theory of karma, there are multiple karmas and multiple effects. So it's not singular thing. There are thousands of karmas you do and thousands of karma's effects are upon you. So this bad person takes the risk. So what about his risk taking where he is successful in the business? So his risk taking, although he is a bad person, his ability to take risk in the business world, it has to have its own result. So where we make a mistake is we singularly say one karma and one effect. No, he conducting 100 karmas. And those 100 karmas should have 100 effects. So just because we want to narrow it down, which pleases us, we say, hey, why this bad guy is successful? Because he is doing other karmas which results are good.
The product karma,
Yeah.
right?
And a good person is lazy. He doesn't want to work. So he is poor. So don't negate the theory of karma. And I do not buy this argument that it is because of the past karma that you have to suffer in this life. It doesn't make any sense. It is simultaneous. Sometimes you will not be able to understand what effect does it make.
Okay, may
But
I ask you
is
further in the karma,
Huh?
what Meena Ben said? You explained that, that any karma you do, like you put your hand in a fire, it will burn you right now, not 10 minutes after that.
Correct.
So, then again we say that the person who is bad and then he is successful in the business or money, that because he has some prior karma, the reaction is coming back to them.
No, it's not prior karma.
I mean, every action has a reaction.
Yeah, but what he is saying is he is doing many karmas.
Yeah.
And there are positive aspects of it. He's taking a risk taker. He's a brave man. So that has to have also the result.
I see.
We cannot confine to one aspect of one karma and say, why is he, because a good person is lazy person. He doesn't want to take risk. He doesn't want to enter a business. So he is not successful, and that guy is successful. So it is not only the bad act, but also there are multiple acts that he is doing.
Yeah, but main karma theory ties it to past karmas.
Yeah, but that's wrong. That's what I'm saying.
You think it's wrong, right?
Yeah, that's what my interpretation is.
Right.
That it is an unnecessary jump into something just to satisfy, some things that you cannot explain.
Right. But I think even in the old karma theory, in the traditional karma theory, they say the old karmas are multiplied by current karmas for the effect. So if you have bad karmas, you piled up a lot of bad karmas. If you do good deeds now, then you can mitigate the effect. So in other words, your deeds this life are very important.
Yeah. But what that I reject totally is because then enlightenment is not possible.
Oh, yeah.
If you believe that you have this mass of old karmas, bad karmas, and then you have to remove it by doing the positive karmas, but you are also doing the bad karmas, so you have to do it is an endless regression. You cannot have mukti.
Well, there they say that therefore it takes multiple generations to get to mukti.
No, but that's not because of that, because mukti is possible right now, instantaneous. That's what the Zen is all about. You don't have to remove the darkness of ages by reaching it. You bring a small light and the darkness is gone.
Kranti.
Okay? So the enlightenment is always sudden. And it's always instantaneous. That's the beauty, that's the hopeful aspect of it. That's the beautiful aspect of it. You can't remove all bad karmas. That's not possible. Because you are continuously doing the karmas. You cannot avoid it. Therefore Krishna says very beautifully, that is not avoiding of karma. Okay? You think of the non-action. What is the non-action according to Krishna? Non-action, if you concentrate on non-action, most of the most valuable things in your life is automatic. Birth is not in your hand. Death is not in your hand. Love is not in your hand. Blood circulation is not in your hand. Breathing is not in your hand. Everything is done automatically, otherwise you will not survive for a second. So Krishna says, concentrate on those things and you will realize that you are not the doer. You are not the doer. So then Krishna says that if you can do everything, कर्म तो करना ही पड़ेगा आपको, पर remove this idea that you are the doer. Remove कर्ता का जो भाव है उसको रिमूव कर दो, फिर कर्म करने में कोई हर्जा नहीं. Okay?
Akarta.
हाँ, अकर्ता.
I will add to something to that. You go first.
Okay. So according to what you believe and what you consider, in the rebirth, you start with a completely clean slate when you are born. There is no thing you are getting from the past.
Okay, I will explain that. That's a good question.
So why that some children are born with the defects? Okay, why somebody always have a very nice birth?
There my understanding is simply this, that there are sanskar रह जाते हैं. The way in which you have lived your life in the past. उसके संस्कार होते हैं, that remains with you. So, if water's tendency is going downwards, that tendency, that sanskar, the tendency remains with you, what you did in the past. But that doesn't necessarily bind you. You can overcome that. That's the beauty. In this life, you don't have to be bound by what you have done in the past. Okay? There is a tendency for doing that, but you can overcome that tendency. The same water that has a tendency to move downwards, you warm it at 100 degrees and it becomes vapor in travels upwards. So it is your ability to transform yourself at any minute. That's why sudden enlightenment is possible. That's why कर्म का फल नहीं होता है आपको, अगर कर्ता का भाव आप उसमें से रिमूव कर दो. That's what Krishna is saying. And I must admit, at the end, I must admit, there are many things which you will never be able to explain away. In this world, you have to accept it is so. Now, you can stretch your logic and do all kinds of, explanations you can come out with. And this past life explanation is one of them. It is to satisfy where things don't make sense. Why this atom bomb fell on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and why a million people died at the same time. Okay. Now, one way to explain why in the past life they did something. Okay. That's a false explanation as far as I'm concerned. There are many things.
That's a cop out.
Yeah.
That's
It's a cop out.
मेरे देखे से वो धर्मगुरु पंडित etc. they wanted to continue the hold on the public, and when the public doubted as to how come I'm treated badly when I'm so good, so to shut him up, the Pandit will say, it is your karma from previous birth. Having said that, Ashtavakra told Janak that it just happens. It's the luck of the draw. Luck of the draw. And luck of the draw, it just so happens. So you have not to feel guilty about whatever you may have done in previous birth, because even the reincarnation is strictly Hindu. It is not universally. I don't think even this Buddhism also recognizes that.
Both Buddhism,
Or
Jainism,
yeah.
Hinduism, all the three Eastern religions, major religions, they believe in
But
reincarnation.
Ashtavakra in particular, he says that it is the luck of the draw, in short. So I was coming to that one doesn't have to tie everything that is happening today to whatever he or she may have done in the previous birth.
And the beauty is that it is not binding on you.
Correct.
Okay? उसके संस्कार है, पर वो संस्कार आप बदल सकते हो. उनकी सूखी रेखाएं हैं, वहाँ वो पानी जा सकता है अगर आप कुछ नहीं करो तो. Okay? As a matter of fact, there is another very rather interesting viewpoint of reincarnation, and that is that the theory was that if you were on a search for truth and you achieved so much in this life, but you have not found the ultimate truth, then the idea was that if you can begin your next life where you ended, it would be helpful rather than starting all over again.
Right.
So that was also the idea that आपका जो संस्कार थे आपने जो भी किया, you should not be undone and you carry forward from that point of view. That was one aspect. Now, who is going to prove all that? Nobody is going to prove. So I'm not wasting, my much time on that one.
True.
But I believe that many things cannot be explained away. It is beyond our human mind because universe is so large. But there is nothing. The fundamental law of cause and effect is always valid. We may not be able to explain away why this happened. But that doesn't mean the fundamental law is invalid.
And pardon me, but in Jainism itself, and you may correct me if I'm wrong, Mahavir Swami was the last Tirthankar, nobody else can come after him, and that's one. And secondly, you have to take a birth as a male before you can get nirvana.
Right.
A woman is not entitled
You cannot
to
do
have that.
that.
You have to come back. See, all these things are very difficult for a reasonable person today.
No, but
Accept.
there I beg to differ. What he was saying is that there are two ways of approaching truth. One is a male way and another is a female way. But he never distinguished male and female from the sexual state of birth. It was your psychological trait. In other words, Chaitanya can approach the same way Mira approached. It was the Bhakti Marg. What Mahavir was, his way was, he did say, my way is not the Bhakti way. आपको पूजा करनी हो तो कृष्ण की करो. Okay. Mahavir, Buddha never believed in puja, never believed in prayer. They believed in meditation. That's why they can negate God. Mahavir is very specific. He says, if I accept God, then what about my freedom? I am completely free. The acceptance of somebody who is controlling me, then I become a puppet. So Mahavir rejected that whole notion. And the beauty of meditation is that you don't even have to have a hypothesis of God.